Richard Dawkins' entire career is based upon pointing out the violence that religions have been involved in. Now, in front of the entire world, we have seen the Old Testament being used and language from the Old Testament being used against the Palestinians by the Israeli government. The Israeli government is referring to them as Amalek, as animals, and has been dehumanizing them through a myriad of terms and has committed a gross violation of human rights and committed a genocide. Yet, Dawkins is silent on this. Now, isn't this a perfect example for him to use to promote atheism? Isn't this what his book is about? In fact, he points out the Old Testament in his writings, in his speeches, as a text that is used to justify evil. Now, since we've seen this genocide, shouldn't he speak up? If he doesn't want to speak up for the Palestinians, at least speak up and say, why is the Old Testament being used in this way? Isn't this what I was warning you guys about? Not only has he failed to actually condemn the genocide, he actively was trying to be a cover for it. In a shocking video, we see him being confronted about his nefarious narrative that the students that are rising all across the world to protest against the genocide are driven by anti-Semitism rather than what is actually going on in Gaza. So let's have a look at this confrontation.
Do a quick question?
Yeah.
All right, you said you felt that the students protesting were driven by anti-Semitism?
Yes.
Do you feel it's possible they're driven by horror at the slaughter in Gaza?
Do what, sorry?
Do you think they're driven by horror at the slaughter in Gaza? Is it necessarily anti-Semitism?
Of course they're not driven by the horror and the slaughtering. You mean...
The students protesting?
Well, are you recording this? I'm not, put that away. I don't do recordings.
Okay.
What happened there? Cat got your tongue? You are supposed to be the representative of atheism. You see yourself as this messianic figure. You're being asked a very open and clear question. Are the students protesting because they're seeing a genocide, they're seeing a slaughter, or is it simply because they're being anti-Semitic? Now, the idea that they're being anti-Semitic and that's the reason they're protesting is a narrative of the Zionist Israeli government. So you're simply pandering to that narrative, you're parroting that narrative. And now when you're being confronted about it in a very lucid way, you're basically being asked, couldn't it be that they've seen the slaughter and that's why people are coming out and protesting? That's why these students are out there? He didn't have an answer. And then he walked away and he didn't want it to be filmed. That kind of reminds me of another time that he was confronted and he didn't have an answer when he was being challenged on this idea of his that Islam is like Nazism. So atheism all across the world is a movement. The new atheism is a movement which looks towards its leaders for guidance, but they are found morally wanting. So I hope in this short video you've seen the real face of the people that are supposed to represent new atheism and why they are not the moral compasses that we should be using to navigate what's happening in our lives. The most moral thing to do is to point out and say, this is a genocide, this is a killing, this is inhumane, this is wrong, regardless of race, religion, gender. We do not accept this. Yet what do we find amongst these new atheists? They are actively supporting the genocide. And even worse than Dawkins is Sam Harris. Now, I've done a video on him before that you can check out below. But the fact is, these new atheists have really let their masks slip with this genocide. And I think everybody now will see, not only are their arguments intellectually vacuous, they themselves are in no way, shape or form moral.